Welcome to Tackett's House of Horsepower. It's me, Steve Tackett, and I need to keep going on this little 65. I got all those random parts still piled up over here. We got plenty of work to do there. I also need to take a look at Down and Dirty, and I think there's an issue with Sarah's Nova. There's a lot of stuff I need to address. So let's get to work. So what can we do here? Well, the wiring is right where I left it. Nobody came in the middle of the night and finished it for me, so that's how it goes. I did get a horn relay, so we need to put that in there, and then we need to land all this wiring, and then we need to route it through everything and up and over. We need to put the front end back together. The wiring needs to finish up. The fan needs to be wired and relay added and gauges. The rest of the harness under the dash, the harness that goes to the back, we can put that hood back on. I still don't have a transmission. So, I mean, there's only so much I can do to this thing. So, I guess let's get started. You know the routine. You gotta let the babies out. Yeah, he's in the background howling because he wants to come outside. He can hear me. And then you got Scout. I don't know what they're all upset about. We had biscuits and gravy for breakfast, and they got bacon. Yeah, you got bacon. I don't know what are you crying for? You don't need any bacon. Look at you. Look at you. All right, I guess let's continue with this exciting wiring. I know. But it has to get done, you know what I mean? Okay, I think I got the front wiring harness figured out. It's pretty much laid out where I want it. I just need a couple of those little plastic guys that go right here. Boop. One there, one there. That'll hold this guy right there. It lays up here. I got this white wire here. I need this to go in and hook it to the fuse box somewhere for keyed hot. That wire, I need it to be keyed hot. That's gonna feed the, hold on, fan relay down there. So the white wire will be keyed hot. The blue wire is your ground that comes over here. So when this hits 190 degrees, that's gonna ground. Close that, and it's gonna cause the relay to close, and we're gonna kick on the fan. So there you go. Horn relays there. Everything up front here is just basically headlight and turn signal and horn. Same thing over here. Another horn and a turn signal and a headlight. And that'll be that. So basically from the firewall forward is ready to go. These got to go down to the starter. That's no big deal. This will go to my ignition. So we're pretty much good to go on the wiring from the firewall up. All right, I might have just gotten super lucky. I might be super happy right now. So you've heard me talk about 65 ignition switches. 65 ignition switches are difficult to find, and they don't make an exact replacement. It has to do with this flat spot right here. This flat spot right here, they make them and it'll be on the wrong side. So when you install it, the switch will be upside down, and the key, your key will, instead of going in this way, has to go in this way. It'll be upside down. So I don't like that. That's not the way it originally was from the factory. Okay. So this is the ignition switch that was in the car. So I want to try and save it. So it had a lock cylinder in it, and you got to get the lock cylinder out of it. And it's really difficult to do if you don't have a key. So I tried all of my keys, all of them, all the Nova keys I had, all the Chevelle keys I had, all the keys I had. Now, turns out this key is the ignition switch key for my little blue station wagon. And it actually worked. See, it's well used. But it went in and it turned. And I was like, yes, sweet. Here's what you got to do. You put the key in it and you turn it backwards to the accessory position. Then you got to take a pin or something, like something skinny and short like this. Anyways, paper clip. Anyways, there's a little button right here. See that little button? You got to push that button down, and then you got to turn the key backwards, and it'll pop out. And it actually worked. I actually got it out. So this lock cylinder, which I did not have a key for, found out this one worked. I was able to get it out. So there you go. Now, this ignition switch, hopefully, if it still works, I should be able to install my new key set. I got a complete lock and key set, all the doors and trunk and glove box and everything. So I got new keys and a new lock cylinder. All you got to do is pop that in there till it clicks, turn it, boom. There you go. See that? So hopefully if this ignition switch is good, we're going to be in there. You know what I mean? So I can reuse the original bezels and stuff. See where the flat spot is? It's going to go on like it's supposed to. The key is in the right direction like it's supposed to. It's going to go in just like this. Accessory, off, on, crank. So it lines up where it's supposed to, you know, and it should match up with the dash, and the key will be in the right direction. So hopefully, if this switch is good, we're good to go. One more thing, don't use pliers on here. See how chewed up that is now? You know, they sell this little guy. It goes right here like this, and you can tighten it down like that. You don't have to use pliers on that. All right, let's see if I can't get this steering wheel off of here. And I gotta get inside here, and I wanna change out the turn signal switch. And I need to pull this dash out so I can run the wires and stuff behind it and plug all the bulbs in and all that good stuff. Well, the steering wheel came right off, but I need a puller for this. Let me go get one to yank that guy off. And then there's what's left of an old turn signal switch in there. We'll get it out though. All right, got that off. Now I want to drop the steering column down. I think I need to just get these 3 screws out. This comes off. And then I should be able to run the wires up here. I think I need to take this loose. If I remember correctly, you got to take this off of its little setting on its little 3 little hooks. Then you can fish the wires down it. I think you got to drop it down though here, and then this collar's got to come off. Anyways, let's see. Okay, now I remember, you take those 3 screws out. This is all that's left of the turn signal switch. Then you got these 3 little, I don't know, ears. You rotate this, pull this guy off, and then this is what this is the old shifter. It used to be a column shift. But you take that out, and you just pull this out. And you can fish your wires down there, and then put it all back. Pretty easy. I'm a little annoyed because I just noticed that my speedometer doesn't speedometer anymore. So I guess that's good. We don't need to know how fast we're going. They'll just use that against you in court. So hopefully that works. Somebody oversprayed it a little bit there. That's great. But as long as my fuel gauge is good, I guess that's good enough. I could maybe see if I can get one of these. I don't know. It is what it is. So check this out. I went out to my shed, my secret stash shed, and I got this steering column that was in my blue wagon. You can tell because of the blue. But the cool thing about this column is we welded up the side of it. It's all scratched up now. We can just sand it down and maybe squirt it black, some rattle can, and maybe I could just swap this in here, and then I won't have that the side piece sticking out for where the shifter was. You know what I mean? This might look a little better. What do you think? All right, it's clean, it's painted, and it's got the new turn signal switch in there. So it's drying. I can't put it in yet. But what I can do is start running some of this wiring. Put my ignition switch in there. I want to get down in here. I need to pull this pedal assembly out. I got a clutch pedal assembly, but none of the linkages. So I need to order up a brake pedal for an automatic car. So I can pull the rod out of there, drop these pedals down. I also want to take out that the plate on the bottom down there. I'm going to block off those holes with some dynamite or something, you know, and then bolt it back down so there's no holes blowing hot air on my feet, you know what I mean? So while that's over there drying, I'll go ahead and take care of this. Okay, pedal assembly's out. Too bad I don't have none of the linkages for that clutch. I ended up having to buy a whole set for the 63, but I got a pedal, an extra, anyway. So I wanted to pull this out because you can't get this out when the steering column's in the way. You got to take the steering column out to be able to slide that up this shaft. So I want to block off that hole in the center. This where the clutch pedal linkage rod would have been. So I want to cover this up and replace this foam. You know, I'll probably just use some Dynamat. That'll work. That'll make it nice and airtight. So might as well do it now while we got the steering column out. You know what I mean? I don't think that's gonna be dry before. I might just clean up now, and then tomorrow that steering column will be dry. I can put all this stuff back on the floor, slide the steering column on, and then I don't know, we'll see where it goes from there. I need to do ignition. I don't even know. There's so much I need to do. Oh, gauges. I could put gauges in it. Maybe we'll do that. Good morning. We're back. Huh. Yeah. Where's Scout? Come here. Oh. Well, we're not off to a good start already. I went up to the store. I got some battery cables and battery hold down. Oh, I want to put the gauges in, and I wanted to get copper line for the oil pressure. And this tire back here, it goes flat. So, you know, I go to air it up, and I flipped on the air compressor, and it ran for about a minute or two. And then it sounded like it had rod knock. And then stuff started coming out the front of it. I don't know what this is. Pieces of plastic started coming out. And then it tripped the GFCI circuit. So I think the air compressor just threw a rod or something. I don't know. So that sucks, because that thing is like, I don't know, I've had it for, I don't know, probably 20 years. and it just gave up on me just now. So we're definitely not off to a good start. But anyway, the show must go on. So let's put that steering column in. What do you think? Okay. Maybe work on the rest of the dash a little bit. Put those gauges in. I don't know how far we're gonna get now. I know. Well, there used to be a belt in there. Wow. All right, well, that explains that. I think that's the date. I think that's the build date, and that's the serial number. So yeah, 2001. I told you it was over 20 years old. All right, so I removed this and went ahead and stuck in a piece of Dynamat to patch up this foam so we won't have a hole anymore. That's where the clutch pedal linkage rod used to go through. But now we can stick it back in here, bolt it back in, and go ahead and slide the steering column back down on the steering shaft. And we'll button this back up. Well, the boot and stuff was in good shape, so I just reused it. It's actually soft and pliable. I was pretty shocked. So I slid that back down in there. Go ahead and stick this in. It, new turn signal, of course. It's just sitting here right now because I need to figure out what I'm gonna do for that gauge cluster. Maybe I'll look for another one. I don't know. But anyways, the steering column is sitting in there. And look, all the shifter stuff is gone. While it was apart, I went ahead and took all the guts out of it too. The shifter stuff and the tube that goes down. I took all that out. So now it's weight reduced, you know? So it's lighter and it's more aerodynamic. See? So you know it's gonna be faster now. But yeah, that's the old one. You see what I mean? So a little bit of an upgrade. You know, it looks a little better. All right, well, I went ahead and stuck the steering wheel back on just so I can steer it for now. You know, if it wasn't cracked, I would probably just leave it. I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't. Turn signals look like it's gonna work. All right, well, I guess we should tackle these gauges. See what we can do with that. All right, so what we got here is a dash with a giant hole in it. Somebody cut that out for a stereo. So that's fine. I decided I would get me one of these. It's a radio delete bezel that holds 2 1/16 gauges. So then I ordered up a set of 2 1/16 gauges. Basically the cheapest ones Auto Meter makes. And these should plop right into that bezel, and we can plop that bezel right into the dash, and it'll look better than that, hopefully. So anyways, something like that. You know what I mean? Uh-oh. Not valid for race contingency. Well, I guess there goes my hopes and dreams. First thing I do is get the right adapters for the coolant temp, oil pressure, and go ahead and fish that in there and tighten them up. There you go. One there, one there. Next thing I'm gonna do is I need to drill a hole somewhere, preferably next to the distributor over there, and pop in a rubber grommet. And it has to be big enough to fit this guy through it. And then we'll start routing them. All right, so I put in a rubber grommet. That's right below and next to the distributor. So it's gonna come out down low, like behind the distributor, so you won't really notice it. It won't be too obvious. Plus, I didn't want to go up high because I want to stay away from this rod. When this thing's running, this thing's spinning, you know, my windshield wipers. And yes, I am going to have working windshield wipers, so I don't want to come anywhere near this rod. So down low behind the distributor seems like a safe bet, and it won't be too noticeable in the engine compartment. So we put that there. Now, over here on the wiring harness, I was just thinking about it. This is the cigarette lighter. It should be hot all the time, I think. This one is the radio, or it would have been the radio. So I know it's got its own circuit, and I know it has its own fuse. So I was thinking about using this wire as my amp gauge. You know, when I put the amp gauge in here, I'll feed it with this. So it'll have its own circuit, its own fuse, and it'll be radio, but whatever. So that'll work the amp gauge. I'll just have to ground it, and the water temp and the oil pressure will just go through that hole right there, and I think we'll be good. All right, just to confirm it, I got my meter out and I put on continuity, so it beeps. Okay, so I attach one lead to that yellow wire, and then you come over here to your fuse box, and if you look, the top one says stereo on it. So I know that this, see it? So if I pop in a fuse right here under the stereo, boom. So that's going to be my circuit for the amp gauge. All right, well, let's start on this bezel. They give you instructions. They tell you exactly what you need to cut out. And I just checked it, and the hole they cut is bigger. So I don't need to do any cutting. So that's nice. Now, I'm gonna come over here and disassemble this bezel I don't need. And I keep saying amp gauge. It's not an amp gauge, it's volts. Amp gauges are dangerous. We don't use those anymore. But your volts, anyways, that's where the yellow wire is gonna go. So now I need to disassemble this and get rid of this bezel I don't need, and we'll switch it out for this one. And basically, it just sits in there. There's some double-sided tape that's gonna keep it from rattling, I guess. And this will go on the back side, right? So that'll sandwich, these two will sandwich onto the dash. And then the gauges, when you tighten them down, they got those brackets. That's gonna squeeze it all together. So pretty simple, pretty easy. I don't even have to do any cutting or drilling. That's pretty nice. Okay, they all come apart pretty easy, these little brackets. Pay attention though, because the volt gauge has grommets on it. So if you accidentally put one of these on the volt gauge, you'd have yourself a dead short, because they use the post, the mounting posts are the positive and negative terminals. So if you was to put this bracket on this gauge, it would be a dead short. So pay attention and make sure you use the right bracket on the right gauge. Now start fishing everything through the grommet and running it out to those fittings on the engine. Now, I don't recommend using the tube, especially this tube they give you. Wow, that is some really cheap tubing. If you use this, you're asking for trouble. It's gonna chafe, it's gonna crack, and then you're gonna have a giant geyser of oil somewhere, either right at the back of the engine or on your feet while you're driving. That would really suck. So that's why earlier today I went and grabbed that copper tubing kit. Where did I put it? Right here. So I switch it out for this. So I'm gonna route this through that grommet, right to that little fitting, and start hooking them up. We're almost done. All right, so there it is. They run through back behind the distributor. You can't even hardly tell. See the copper line there. Kind of hidden. I like it. So that's it for up front, I think. All right, how does that look? A little bit better than that hole in the dash, right? They're kind of small. They're only 2 1/16 gauges, but they'll work. They'll get the job done. And it looks a little bit better. And trust me, this was inexpensive. So anyways, all I got left to do is hook up these lights. I need to tie all the red wires together and tie all the black wires together, and then pop those in the back. The black wire just needs to ground to the chassis. The red wires will have to come over here to one of these lights. The gray ones are your dash lights. The rest of these are idiot lights and turn signals and stuff like that. But all the gray ones are your dash lights. So if I tie the red wires together and I tap into one of those gray ones, then those will light up with my dash lights. So that'll be good. Then the only thing I need is a tack. Somebody's already cut some holes and drilled some holes and put, you know, somebody's already been fabricating stuff up here. So anyways, I'll get like a, I don't know, not a huge tack. I don't want a monster tack, but like a decent sized tack, maybe a shift light, mount it right about there. Might as well, since I've already got holes for it. But so yeah, that'll be that. That'll be it for my gauges. And then I need to figure out something with that gauge cluster. Either replace it, get another one, or see if I can track down just the speedometer. Pop in a new speedometer there. And then that'll be it for my gauges. And most of the electrical is done. How about that? I need to make a plate. I need to mount a plate up here and mount my MSD box and mount a coil somewhere. And then I need to put my pass-through. I need to pass through. So the coil and the box will be up there on the inside. And then I'll do something with this, maybe somewhere over here. And then that'll be my coil wire. Run that down to the distributor. And basically, the electrical will be done. So how about that? Well, I think that's gonna do it for me this week. We did get a lot done on the little 65 the last 2 weeks. Little things here and there, just knocking them out. Pretty soon, it's gonna be a running and driving car before you know it. That's how it works. So I really wish I'd had more time. I wanted to get some more done on it. I wanted to look it down and dirty. There's a few things I need to wrap up on it. Sarah's Nova, there's a gas gauge issue. I need to look at that. I need like a week just to catch up on all the vehicles I've been neglecting. So, but unfortunately, I have to go back to my regular day job. You know what I mean? It's paying the bills and stuff, you know? You know what I mean? But I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for hitting like and subscribe and all that, comments, any of that stuff, telling your friends. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. It really does. So, till next time, see ya.